for you guys to drop in the chat if you guys are actively looking for something new in your treatment room. If you've already got some serums in mind, if you've already been kicking around the idea of Juvasonic. Just like to kind of see what you guys were thinking.
You can also unmute yourself
Mhm.
and ask any questions too.
Mhm. You'll see a theme here. Pam and I have often talked about how we like choosing our own serums and custom building our own protocols. So you'll see right away why we were so drawn to this device and leaving it to the estheticians to plug into their protocols as needed.
Sophie said that she has a nano device, but she's looking for something more advanced and with different options. And Sophie, that's exactly why that we picked this device, was because it hit all the little things that I wanted it to do. So I can still do my diamond tone microdermabrasion and the dry method, and then now I'm going to use this device to do a lot more as far as the product penetration too.
Mhm. Yeah, and Nikki said she was looking for something new with no needles. Agreed. I personally have tried microneedling. It's not for me. It's not my chosen method of application. So I'm so excited to give you guys another option that's not needles for sure. Sanjay, I think you had prepared a little presentation for us there with some science. Our audience loves the science behind why we choose what we choose. So I'd love to turn it back over to you for a little teachable moment.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes.
So
Yes.
our company is called We Thrive, and we focus on innovation. So for the two of you who asked the questions about something new, know that that's the ethos of our company. We're not looking to make products that are already on the market and make them cheaper or in a different color or a different form. We're looking to create best-in-class products. This is our lab. Amy and I, as she said, she's a biohacker. She's in the lab as much as I am, and it's in Pennsylvania. Our lab is located outside of Philadelphia in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. We're there typically 2 days a week and really working on innovation. This is a little bit about the markets for skin and hair. We have a brand for hair treatment called Revive, a skincare brand called Mascade. But of course, today our focus is on Juvasonic. We have excellent intellectual property. And now I'm going to go through the science because so far I haven't told you essentially the secret sauce of why Juvasonic does what it does. So here's an image of human scalp. This is not a cadaver or a biopsy. This is living, breathing human scalp taken with a camera in our lab. So there are three panels here. The image on the left, this white line here, that's the stratum corneum, the outermost layer of the epidermis. The stratum corneum is also referred to as the skin barrier. And I don't know what the temperature is like where you are today, but if it weren't for the stratum corneum, we'd be dehydrated, like shriveled up raisins. It keeps our moisture in and protects us from the environment. So what we found is when you take Juvasonic and apply it to the scalp or skin, it temporarily disrupts the stratum corneum. So here you can see in the middle image, the barrier is now opened up. That solid white line is now disrupted. The stratum corneum is comprised essentially of dead keratinocytes, so there's no permanent damage or any harm whatsoever. It simply opens up the stratum corneum to allow for the delivery, in this case, of exosomes. So you can see the dark black pixels here. That's the absorption of exosomes. And when you apply the device to the scalp, in order to grow hair, the product has to get to the stem cell bulge, which is at the base of the hair follicle. And we've shown unequivocally that Juvasonic opens up the stratum corneum to allow the product to get here to the stem cell bulge. And look at the image on the right. What's the amazing thing is across hundreds of people, different ages, different skin types, different skin color and texture, at about 15 minutes, the stratum corneum closes up again. So you have a window of delivery that's about 10 to 15 minutes. And unlike microneedling or laser or RF, there's no wound or injury. You skip the inflammation and go directly to delivery. So, does anyone have any questions about this image? I have a couple more images and a couple more things to go through, but this for me is that one image where a picture is worth 1,000 words.
I think that's a great illustration, and to be able to see what is happening and why it can be so much more effective.
Yeah, thank you. You know, we worked tirelessly on a variety of technologies, and it took several years to come to this device. And then we knew at that moment when we had it. And we've been very, very pleased with the science. Our first publication will be out any day now in the Journal of Cosmetic Dermatology. And, you know, along with Pam and Stephanie, we'll be able to share with you hopefully our journey as we continue to generate data. This is an image of scalp in color, and what it shows is the same sequence. So here's the stratum corneum before treatment. Here's the stratum corneum, literally sloughed off after 30 seconds of Juvasonic. And these blue bands, these vertical blue lines, that's the hair follicle. And you can see the serum literally wicking down the outer shaft of the hair follicle. It's like, still when I see this image looks like Renoir Starry Night, you know, but it just astounds me that we can temporarily open up the stratum corneum to allow for the delivery of peptides, PRP, growth factors. I'm sure you'll all have very interesting serums that you'll be able to evaluate with Juvasonic. And again here, 15 minutes later, the stratum corneum closes up again. I want to go to a slightly different point, but maybe I'll pause there and see if anyone has any questions.
Seems to be some things in the chat that are being asked. Let's see. Let me get to, I know one was asking about the cartridges, if
Mhm.
I remember correctly, which you may want to address later, and we go through the whole cartridges as
Mhm.
far as the and how many nanometers the red and blue light are.
Oh, thank you. Those are both very good questions. I can actually address them now. The cartridge holds up to 3 mLs of your solution. We sell the device, which includes 10 empty cartridges, and then you can purchase cartridges from our website or through MedSpa Distributors, of course. And the cartridges have 3 different sizes based upon the viscosity of the serum. So for very thin serums like water, there's a 0.1. For serums that may have a little HA or peptides, there's a 0.2. And for thicker, heavier serums, there's a 0.5. So 10 cartridges included with each device, up to 3 mLs each, and they come in 3 different sizes. Amy's holding a box right there. We ship with the 0.2 because that seems to be the most versatile across the variety of serums that people have been using so far. Regarding the red and blue light, the blue light is 480 nanometer, good for superficial issues around blemishing or spots. And the red light is 640 nanometer, more for rejuvenation, and the preferred wavelength if you're applying the product to scalp for hair growth. Now, it's a short treatment time. It doesn't last very long, but you have the option to have red and blue light. Here's an application on scalp. This is the nano chip, the working end of the device. And now I want to go to a new application. I'm not sure that I've mentioned it on this call yet, but in collaboration with MERS, we're looking at breaking down nodules of radius. So if you aren't an injector, you may have had an injection, you'll know that one of the concerns about dermal fillers is that if you inject too much or too superficially, you can create a nodule. Here's a nodule of radius created in the back of my hand. Literally, when she injected it, this was done on purpose. The nodule felt like a hard pebble. And I had an OSHIT moment. what am I going to do? This nodule is going to be disfiguring. And in the case of radius, there's not much you can do. You can massage, you can irrigate with saline. It becomes a very big problem. Imagine on your lips or on your neck. Well, we took Juvasonic, and after 30 seconds, it broke the nodule down. So it took a bad injection and spread it into the deeper dermis. In fact, in my hand in that same area now, 4 months later, my skin still looks younger. So that's a new application of Juvasonic to break down nodules. The study is being published with Shino Bay, Mers, and Greg Keller. So some very prominent physicians in the field. And if you're working in a med spa where you're injecting dermal fillers, know that that's another application for Juvasonic. And I think you've met Amy and I. I can tell you a little bit about our team. We have a great medical advisory board, multi-specialty. Dr. Gordon Suzaki, plastic surgeon in Pasadena. Now, plastic surgeons like to cut and do surgery, but I'll tell you, he's the biggest fan of Juvasonic. In fact, last week, our son was in his office with a photo crew doing some product images and video of his techniques with Juvasonic. So we have a really good medical advisory board. Our son works with us, Jason, and our team is located all over the world. We're sort of virtual and mighty and, really trying to create innovative products. So that's a little bit about Juvasonic. Amy and I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you may have.
I do see that we have, go ahead, Stephanie. I'm gonna let you take over the questions.
Oh, well, there's a lot of question or a lot of chatter about how to incorporate it into what they're already doing and some specific skin conditions. So why don't we take a little bit of time to talk about how we could incorporate this device into some services that we're already offering and how we can level up some services that we might already be doing. So if you guys want to drop in the chat, what services are you thinking could benefit from this? Are you thinking of what comes to mind with me is pairing it with microdermabrasion. Pam, do you want to talk a little bit about how and why it's amazing to put this with microderm?
Sure. Of course, you know that we've distributed the Diamond Tone for many, many years. So it's perfect because we can do that dry and we're going to get off layers of that. And then we're going to use this, which is going to open up, like we talked about, products then going to go, penetrate into the skin deeper. We're going to get great results that way. So I really feel like that's going to be a good combination. Microcurrent, we can do microcurrent too to help with the lifting and the toning. We can use maybe the lift tone from Victoria Deanne or the repair from Victoria Deanne with the peptides. I mean, with the hair, we can talk about hair and using it for hair growth too, along with the laser hair helmet that they could use at home. So there's so many applications. I know acne pitting and using some products too that Dermastart is creating specifically for that. That would be great into the device. So I'm seeing you know how my mind's going. It's going in, and then of course we could use the neogenesis stem cells too, along with doing other procedures with it too. So I think that they're going to find, it's going to be something you're going to wind up using in every time a treatment.
There was some chatter too about using it with acne protocols. And generally we say not to be very aggressive with active acne, but based on this technology, what are your thoughts, Sanjay, about using it with active acne serums and the benefits of doing this type of service with active acne? Not only active, but also post-inflammatory, hyperpigmentation, all of that. What are the benefits of doing something non-invasive versus being a little more aggressive with that skin condition specifically?
Yeah, so with acne, we think there's a great opportunity with Juvasonic because the key is to get to the root of the acne, the glands that are producing the sebaceous material that you're trying to minimize. This is a product that can do so. In fact, it's not acne, but I'll share with you, a dermatologist in Pennsylvania is super excited about using this for actinic keratoses. So those precancerous brown spots, he tried it on his own forehead and he had an active ingredient he tried. It seemed to work, and then the AKs came back. He tried it with Juvasonic, and he's reporting now 2 weeks, I think, after treatment that the AKs are gone. So that suggests to me that this device can be used for acne or any treatment where you want deeper penetration to the root cause.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that's the key right there, is being able to go into it and open up, like you said, and then be able to take and put this deeper into our layers, and then we're able to accomplish what we want to do. And we're not using a needle, so as estheticians, we're still within our scope of practice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe Amy can comment. I think Amy has the most experience probably of anyone with using a Juvasonic.
Yeah, I love it for acne. I was just talking to someone yesterday about back knee. I think with acne, instead of doing the typical protocol where you're going, back and forth, horizontally, vertically, and in a circular motion, you may not want to do that. You may want to try this like sort of technique where you're keeping it in place so that you're not, dragging, stuff across the skin that you don't want to have move there.
Mm-hmm.
And what I can tell you in a nutshell, guys, and by the way, I tend to be verbose, so I'll try to keep this short, is that Juvasonic, the Juvasonic device, I can't imagine it not being paired with everything. I have weekly calls on Tuesdays, some for reps and some for the professionals. And I'm so fortunate because I get everyone's ideas. Everyone's like, well, what about this? And what about that? So I think the Juvasonic device is this tool in your practice that you can use. Combination therapy is everything, right? So, right? I mean, what okay, I am going to give you my self-described Amy Batra Juvasonic facial deluxe, whatever you want to call it. And it goes like this. It's like I'm dermaplaning. Sometimes I'm microneedling with, sometimes I'm not, so with or without microneedling, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have some great serum or an exosome. Then I'm going in after Juvasonic, and I'm going to tell you at the end why. And then after I've done my Juvasonic, and I typically have it on red light, you guys, this morning, I just did my face, neck, and chest about an hour ago. So there is zero downtime, but my skin feels super soft and nice. So anyway, it's the dermaplaning for removal of hair with or without microneedling. I like microneedling. Juvasonic, and then I put on some great serums. Like we have a great anti-aging serum, 14 peptides, 3 growth factors, hydrate serum, and then a mask. And you guys, I think what estheticians want and the people that visit estheticians is a great, relaxing, effective protocol. And that just happens to be mine. And yeah, combination therapy. Imagine what you could put it with. Yes, you can. And the reason why I say with or without microneedling, it's so this is a funny thing that I just realized, is that when people microneedle, they always talk about, pinpoint bleeding. So if you get pinpoint bleeding, that means the blood's coming out. And now you're trying to deliver a serum in. It doesn't work like that, right? So yeah, microneedling will give you collagen induction therapy. Fantastic. We all want it, but it's not delivering the serums. So it sort of sounds like, Pam, what you were saying earlier. I can't remember what device or what you were talking about, but yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to approach it, but adding Juvasonic in is just going to deliver that excellent serum, these high-end serums, so that overall your patients are getting like the best treatment ever. And, I will let you guys know, and I kind of hate when people do this, but I guess I'm proud of my age. I'm going to tell you, I just turned 60. So I really feel like, you know, combination therapy and just even using the Juvasonic in the last, since I turned 60 in April, really has made a difference with my skin. So that's it. And if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer it. Sorry for being long-winded.
Oh, I will
No,
say,
no, that's fine.
but Amy, they're all in the chat. They're like, what? Microneedling and doing this device on the same day? Or do
Yes,
we need to alternate? So you're going to would you do the micro needling last?
I would do it first, personally. I would do it first. I would do it first. I'd follow it with the Juvasonic. Then I'd put on, these serums. I'm just trying to think of a protocol that if I went to a esthetician that I would like. So that's what I like. I want the hair gone. I want collagen induction therapy. I want the serums to go in. And at the end, I want to put on these great products, maybe layer it a couple things with a mask that helps deliver them. And yeah, I think you can do them all at the same time,
My
You
protocol
could,
might be a little different because I probably wouldn't do the microneedling. And it depends on the products too. Now,
of course.
maybe the PRP you can do into the device after you've done the microneedling, but some of our products, the peptides and such, they wouldn't want you to do it if there's bleeding involved.
Yeah,
So, but that's the beauty is we can agree on different paths to get the results that we want to get.
exactly.
Yeah.
You just
So,
something I always say, there's more than one road to Rome. You
Yeah.
said
right.
it differently, but that's the truth.
Yes.
When I'm doing microneedling, I'm not getting to pinpoint bleeding because I know I don't need to, just so you
Right.
know. But,
That's
and
the
again,
reason I like this device is because I
yes,
don't have to, and
yes,
I can get the results that I want without doing as much injury to the skin. Not
exactly.
against microneedling. It's just I think that there's a different route with this device.
Absolutely. I
And
think people are getting away from microneedling. I think there's a trend that people want to, it's not what it once was. I mean, this is what I'm hearing from the estheticians and people that I'm talking to, that they just don't feel like they need to. They don't need to break the skin. They don't need that pinpoint bleeding to have an effective, result. So,
Personally, I
Yeah,
think
I'm
the
in.
best, I think the best microneedling isn't at 2 millimeters. I think it's much more shallow, to be
yes,
honest.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
definitely more shallow, in my opinion too. Somebody asked, can they do it after waxing? I would say not again. We need to know their skin and what type of wax. Is it soft wax? Is it hard wax? So,
Yeah.
but I could see that we could use this device.
Yep.
And correct me
Hyaluronic.
if you yeah, I was thinking of the hyaluronic or
Mhm.
Soothe Essence, something of that sort, where we will put it on afterwards to help calm and repair. We
Yep,
can
some
do
hyaluronic, some repair, uh,
yes.
some hyperpigmentation serum after waxing. There's a lot of applications for that. Body discoloration in general. I know I myself have been a model for body discoloration. So I'm excited to try some serums. I'll just say it in my underarms. I have a little discoloration under there that we've been pushing in some serums. So there's tons of applications for this, not just face, but body. And I'm also in the same camp as Amy. It is a multi-layer onion and it takes many different things. Is this the end all be all? No. Will it partner well with what you're doing and make it better? Yes.
Oh
Can
yeah.
we answer Jolene's question? She wants to know, she said, do we know how long the SC stays open? Yeah, about 15 minutes.
Right.
And then can you use a thicker product? Yes, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm saying. Like after I Juvasonic, then I have like, let me just show you the viscosity. And this is the thinner one of the two. I'm sorry, I always do this to my camera. So this is one that I use. This is this can actually go through the Juvasonic, but the thicker one that I'm talking about, I don't have it in front of me. I'm so sorry, but it doesn't go through. But while everything's open, that's exactly what I do. I put on that serum, then I put on this, and then I put on a mask, and I love it. I think it's just cool protocol. Again, I'm a hacker, guys. I'm not an esthetician. So if I say something that doesn't make sense, please tell me. And then I learn, I learned something new.
Well, you'll find that our group is a very vocal group, and and it's good because that's how we all think, and we all are trying to take and we want to achieve the best results and stay within our scope of practice of what we're allowed to do. A lot of us in here are, holistic to medical and a little bit of both.
Love it.
So
That's
so
the best.
so, and I actually have gone through in preceptorships too, and did that too. So can even discuss lasers. So
I knew lasers. I could learn. There's a great question on here. It says, how deep in millimeters do the serums get delivered? And they go 3 to 4. So you're down, like when you see that image that Sanjay showed, the starry night, you're in the deep dermis. Okay. And if you're doing scalp, you're at the base of the bulb. So we have data to prove and show how deep it's going.
one thing we haven't talked about yet, and I know that you want to tell us more about it, is the sonic vibration, because I feel like that's a very unique part of this whole process.
So
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what is actually powering the serum in, and why those RPMs are important, and what ultrasonic means.
yeah. Maybe I can just start by saying something about the evolution of human skin. It may seem a little weird that I'm starting here, but in general, when you put an energy source on the skin, the human body wants to protect and shut down. So what we found was that the vibration mechanically disrupts the stratum corneum to create a pathway for serums to enter. If you use electrical poration or these more energy-based systems, the skin and the stratum corneum close. This is a combination of mechanical energy and vibration that's creating the opening. So that's what makes this different. The 3 speeds really reflect where on the body you want to use it and how much serum you want to have come out. So the higher the speed, the greater the disruption, and better for thicker parts of the skin. So if you were doing this, let's say, I'll tell you another application. We're looking at using this for people who have skin laxity because of taking Ozempic or Mounjaro, SGL, the GLP-1 product. So the laxity here, you'd have to use a higher speed because your skin is thicker. The same on your scalp. Your skin is thicker on your scalp. So that's why we have different speeds in the device for different treatment areas.
Let's see, can you describe the difference between this technology and like ultrasonic versus ultrasound? Can we define those just so that we're clear of what definitions we're using?
Yeah, so there is an ultrasound device called Alma TED, TED. We tried an ultrasound device in our lab and it didn't work. And the reason it didn't work is the most it could do was open up the sweat glands. So what we found the ultrasound was doing was opening up some sweat gland pores, but that's not where the action is. This device is using sound energy, so it's audible. It's not ultrasound, but it's really the vibration. I wish I could show you a close-up video, but it's literally vibrating. Think of like a Sonicare toothbrush to clean the spaces between your teeth. It's that vibrational energy that's creating the pathway to deliver. It is not ultrasound. In our hands, ultrasound did not work. And by the way, the Alma TED device is $160,000.
I'm big on analogies. I love comparing things and making it a little easier to understand. And when I was going through all the content and learning this device myself, I compared it to, and you're gonna laugh, but a glass of sweet tea. When the ice cubes are all jumbled up. You can't get as much sweet tea in there, but have you ever tapped the glass and the ice cubes line up a little better and you can get more in there? That's what this is doing. We're tapping the glass and getting those cells to line up so we can get more sweet tea. So
God. I love
Stay tuned
that.
for more crazy
So
analogies.
good. Oh my gosh.
I love that analogy. And the one I like is I think of grass. So when you think of your lawn, you have your grass above the surface, and then you have that thatchy, dead brown area. You can't really turn on your irrigation system and your water to get down to the roots of the grass unless you clear out that thatch in your lawn. And that's
Mhm.
what Juvasonic does. It's like raking to make pathways. So when you turn on the irrigation, the water can get deep into your soil.
That's
Mhm.
another good analogy. I love this.
You
Yeah,
know,
so and that's what one of the things Med Spa loves. We can talk on this end. We can say oscillates the skin to penetrate serum deeper, or we can do ice cubes anywhere in between. As long as you end up understanding it, I will speak anywhere in that realm.
I think there are a couple more great questions. From Angel, what is the price point of a treatment, please? And now I have an answer that I've been giving people, but I'll let Sanjay go first. I have my own way of thinking about this, so let's see.
I think, Amy, you're closer to it than I am. I mean, obviously, it depends upon where you live and the actual active ingredient that you're using with the device. But just know that a typical treatment in our mindset is about 10, 12 minutes. So think of the value of that time as you think of, what you would charge. Amy, what would you say?
What I would say is because everyone's using something different, maybe they're combining modalities, don't think of it like that. Think of it like this. You purchased a Juvasonic and you purchased tips. So despite what you're doing with the Juvasonic, how much does it cost for you to take this out, use a tip, and add that to the cost of your treatments?
and
Because you're not, otherwise doesn't make sense, because an exosome could be $1,000 and this PDRN could be, I don't even know what it is, $200. So if I know that I paid X amount for this device and the tips cost me about $20 and I'd like to make X amount of dollars, I would say, you're adding 100, 150, 200, and that's where the zip code dependent information comes in. You're in New York, you're in LA, you're in Miami. It's going to be different than when you're in,
South
I don't
Carolina.
know, Chattanooga, Tennessee, I have no idea, or Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Does that
Yes.
make sense to you guys? And what do you think about that? Because that's my story and I have been sticking to it. So I'd love to know if you guys think that makes sense.
Well, it does. I mean, they'll have a set price for this ultimate treatment, or by adding this into a session is another way to consider it. But yes, like I always tell them, it's like I may have a facial that's $95 in South Carolina, but the same facial in New York City is 400.
Yep.
Real estate also has a factor too on their overhead, things of that sort too. But as far as ROI, we can get into that with you at a separate time, because we try not to talk pricing because we don't want the general public hearing all about our backside of what our profit is and our time value is into something. So but that's a good, I think, general way to say it is, yes, how much do you want for your time? Think about your real estate, your overhead. You're going to talk the whatever the serum or product that you're using, the replacement cartridge, because we do need to replace that after each person, okay? And the device itself. You're going to find it's not going to take that many treatments when you find out the pricing of this to actually pay for the device and have it for a lot more uses. It's kind of like the diamond tone that's been used for 20 years that you still have. So,
Yeah.
it's all going to be a factor to be able to figure into your ROI.
Yeah, a lot of you guys out there have had this conversation with me on the phone, and we've talked about that how the algorithm is dependent to you and it can fluctuate and it can change. I just wanted to comment that this device will help normalize one of those variables, which is the cost of serum. I've used a lot of other devices in my life, and I pour out what I think I'm going to need. and then I need more serum. So my cost per treatment just went up just because I wasn't really sure what my client was going to need. I like that this is exactly 3 milliliters. I know exactly what I can preload in there and what my cost is versus having to pump out another squirt of what could be $20 serum. So I like that this kind of helps normalize one of the variables of that algorithm that I've been discussing with you guys for years on how to price this stuff. So just it helps our math be a little easier.
And what I like is like if you're using, like for example, this PDRN I think it's 5 ml. So say you're going to use the whole thing on them. This is what I like and I would do is I would take 2.5 mLs out, put it in here, and then when it's finished, and then work one side and then go to the other side. The one thing I want to say is whether you use 1.5 mLs or I'm sorry, 2.5 mLs. That's great. Say you cover the entire face. That's great. You're going to have a good outcome. If you use 5 mLs, you are getting more product into the deep, the reticular and papillary dermis. So, while you're getting it everywhere, you want to use more product is going to work better, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To a certain point, and then after
There's-
that, you can only
Yeah.
take some.
Yeah.
Well,
There's-
yeah. I mean, but it like versus like if I only had 2 mLs and I could put 5 mLs, and Sanjay might be better at explaining that part. If you want to jump in,
No,
Sanjay.
no, I think this is a really good discussion. I actually want to just share one other concept with you. As we get to know you, please know that, we're a family-owned business and we love to be very responsive so that if some of you have ideas for new products or innovation or things that could be different, know that we will be the first to take your call and work with Pam and Stephanie to create the next innovation that makes sense. So when we launched this product, I had told you that the tip sizes now come in 3 sizes. Well, this is a true story. When we launched it, we only had one tip size, and it was developed for exosomes and PDRN and PRP, and it was working beautifully. But then we found out people were using the device with peptides and HA and protein, and the tip size wasn't always big enough. Well, in 30 days, we pivoted, and now we have all 3 tip sizes. Here's a schematic if you can see my screen. You can see that, and this was done by our son, this graphic designer. But we, in 30 days, responded to the market by creating the different tip sizes. And we had actually just launched with the 0.1. So, we want to be very responsive to your needs and the needs of your customers, your patients.
I have one last comment. I'm so sorry. I would like to share with you my favorite thing about Juvasonic, which will become your favorite thing too. Whether using 1 ml, 2 mLs, 5, 6, whatever it is absolutely the most effective way and efficacious way to deliver these pricey serums. When you're going over, sorry, I don't even have a tip in here, but when you're going over the skin, what you're going to notice is that it's absorbing as it goes, right? It's not, if you get it, if you have, it's too wet or it's coming out too fat, that's not the ideal situation. You want it to be like kind of going in as you go along, and you'll see the difference. So that's my favorite thing about Juvasonic, because we know these serums are expensive. And if you're microneedling, they're going down someone's face, they're making a mess, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to share that with you.
you know what I noticed too? Did y'all
But-
notice how quickly she put the bottle into
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Can you show them that again?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was like, I'm done
Oh, I
already.
know, no, because I was
what
like,
I'm
oh, I
saying?
didn't have it in there. Yeah. So basically, you guys, here's the device. I personally don't like the collar. I can tell you why in a second. And then you just put it in. Done.
That's it. See,
Yep.
I mean, no fuss, no muss, it's
Mhm.
ready to go. And and the charge lasts pretty long too, if I remember correctly, right? You guys might
It lasts 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on how much you're using it. I think that it takes me about 15 minutes to charge it. when I start seeing it red, I don't ever leave it on the charger because I know that's not very good for any device. Yeah, it takes about 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also a standard USB-C charger, the type you'd get with a newer iPhone or an iPad,
Yeah.
the universal charger.
I'm sorry. We have a good question here, and I don't want to miss any. Nikki asked, would this treatment complement cold plasma treatments? And I know, Sanjay, you have something about the cold that is important.
So I don't know much about cold plasma treatment. I can say the science of cold makes sense for certain skin conditions. There is a company that uses cold to deliver into the skin. I don't think the science there makes sense because, as I said earlier, evolution has made us really quite protective. So when you put cold on the skin, what happens? You can get a goosebump because everything constricts. So there may be an application together with the cold plasma. I'm really not sure, but I think it's a really worthwhile question and something we'll look into.
Thanks, Sanjay. Can it be used under the eye areas? Nikki, thank you for the question. Love it because first of all, oh, I took it out again. You can just literally, I can show you this under the eye. And what I do is I just sort of pull it down so that I'm going on top of the bone. No problem. If I want to do the top, same thing. Love it under the eyes. Someone told me they work with a product called Light Eyes from an Italian company. And it like literally the dark eyes, they did it a few times and it was gone. And I was like, whoa, I want under eyes. I want that product. I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, that's a great
We've got
application.
It's
several
such a good,
several products come to mind that we can definitely
really?
put it
Oh,
on
man,
the bids
that's
for
cool.
that. Yes. Brilliant.
So,
Yep, Sophie hit it on the net. I was just about to say treat all the way up to the lash line. Yes, you would keep your
yes,
vibration low just for client comfort, and we wouldn't want it too aggressive there. Plus, the skin is delicate there, but sure, all the way up to the lash line.
this is another really important one from Sophie. So could we nano with hyaluronic acid? When you say nano, what does that mean?
That's
being
yeah. In the industry, we make very very small crevices. Basically, we're creating like almost like sandpaper to give little channels for serum to go down into the skin. So what I would could you nano first, and then yes, because nanoing is going to deposit the serum somewhat. Then the Juvasonic will go help not only deposit that further, but deposit what is in the Juvasonic as well. So you're just double loading the serum with the Juvasonic pushing both in.
And then do you perform multiple passes with the device? Definitely. Absolutely. So you're going in, treating a 2x2 area, going over, vertically and horizontally and maybe in a circle, whatever you want to do for about 15, 20 seconds, going on to the next place. And yeah, if I have serum left over, I'm going back over it. I mean, I wouldn't just be one and done, I
Yeah,
definitely.
as far as your technique, you guys are you're gonna rely on the muscle memory from your microderm. I find it very similar to my dry microderm and my
Definitely.
hydroderm muscle memory. I just jumped right back in. It took a little bit of time to get used to circles because we don't normally do that in microderm, but this came second nature, 100%.
I know, right? I do the same here.
Someone
So,
asked you about hyaluronic. There was a question you said about hyaluronic. Okay, remember hyaluronic, we can talk about Dalton weight of the hyaluronic too. So we might want to use, like, if we're using Victoria DN hyaluronic, use the low as
Yes.
far as, because it's already going to be the molecule size that we want for that. And then finish more of the high at the top of it. So
Yeah,
then
and
it's be more
that
surface.
makes a lot of sense.
So,
And that's a very valid point because we have to keep in mind that hyaluronic is going to swell. So while we want it to swell, we don't want it to swell so much that it becomes a roadblock to any other serums we're trying to get in there. And so on the head when you're talking about molecule size and how deep it goes into the skin, because high molecular weight is only going to sit at the surface, and we don't want to block that path we just made. So strategic hyaluronic choice would be key there.
And at the end, really.
Right. Yes.
I wouldn't use it as necessarily as a glide, but again, I think based on what you said, That's a good answer.
Mhm.
She said, Nikki says it's part of the mermaid facial bright eyes. I need
Yes.
people. Regenerate. Oh my gosh, I don't really know. Sophie said it, not it's in, I don't know what comment it, okay, I'm not sure, Sophie.
What is the question?
So she's saying I mean regenerate. Okay, so you would
That's a nano channel device. Yes, you could nano channel first and then use your Juvasonic next. Yes. So any nano channel device there.
If you wanted to. I honestly feel like you may not need it with this.
Yeah, I want to hint on that too. Yeah, nano channeling and micro needling. This may be a substitute for. I know I mentioned that you can layer those services on top of each other, but you may want to consider Juvasonic over your nano channel or over your micro needle. You certainly could combine them, but in some instances, replacing one with the other might be advantageous to the protocol.
Just saying. I think that I probably would just try this instead. And then, there's devices for home use for doing the channeling that they could use too, like the Skin One Pro at home, and you sell that one to your client. But this is obviously your pro, so this is your Mac Daddy, so to speak. So that's the pro.
Yeah, I'm glad you're mentioning that, Pam. I wanted to hint on that too, just for clarity. This is for your treatment room. This would be what you're using to infuse serums in your treatment room. We certainly do have some retail options that are going to pair really well with this, so your clients can be doing similar but different. But this is specifically for your treatment room. The home channeling device, Cher, we're a distributor for that as well. That's the Skin One Pro, and there's certainly information about that on our website, and we can dive into that later about how to incorporate all of this. But I just wanted to reiterate that this is specifically for the professional in their treatment room to build out their protocols for their infusion.
Right. But if they have another device and they want to use it, sure, we can go hand in hand. You don't have a device, then you may start with this one and say, hey, I'm happy. It's kind of up to what your choice is.
I love this call. Thanks for having us on here,
Yeah.
because you guys are like talking my talk. I mean, I love, I always thought I should be an esthetician, but I don't want to go to school for it. I just want to know how to do it.
It's only 600 hours in Pennsylvania.
That's a lot of hours.
I'm pretty sure it's 600. It might be less. If there's anyone in Pennsylvania in the audience, you could tell me.
So much fun.
So, but yeah, no, we, believe it or not, there's been manufacturers that have big other degrees and such, and we're like, but you probably need, if you want to talk to us in this world, you need to become an esthetician too. So we've over the years have talked to a lot of manufacturers too, that you'll find out they may have this other great degree, but they are an esthetician too.
Yeah, I love it. That's great.
So yes, but we really enjoy it, this end of the world, and again, a lot of estheticians work in medical offices too, or we have estheticians that have their own practices. And years ago, sure, it was more, if you were an esthetician, we weren't allowed to do much, but now it's become a lot more recognized as estheticians what we can do, and we can work together with the physicians. If we see a lot more skin cancers, we can't diagnose it, but we can take and say, hey, you might want to go get this looked at in a nice way. It's good to get a baseline, not scare them, because we could be wrong. But I can tell you, over the years that I've done it, at least 10 cases that I've seen and recommended, and they come back and said, boy, I'm glad you had me do that. So we work hand in hand. But this device has a lot of purposes. It could be used in both fields.
I'm going to say something funny. When I try, and I've tried like so many different things, including hydrofacial. And personally, I was never satisfied with hydrofacial. So my comment is this is everything that I thought and wanted my hydrofacial experience to be like. as a person who's getting it done. You know, like I just never felt like it was, you know, I don't know why. Everyone loves it. I just never felt that way. So I just love it. I think that afterwards your skin feels amazing and hydrated and everything that I thought it was going to be, you know. So it's a weird comment, but it's definitely true how I feel about it.
I think it definitely has its purpose
Yeah.
that we can actually I think that everybody can find that they're going to be, we want results. I mean, estheticians, we like you said, the science, we want the science behind it. We want the results behind it. So that's when I know that this group that comes to our little webinars, that's what they're looking for, you know.
Mhm.
So, and they normally, you know, like I said, they want to interact, and that's why we try to bring the experts on of the device, which is you two, so then that way they can take and hear it directly from you, and it's not just something that we're telling them.
Mhm.
They know, then that way we're all accessible, we work as a team, and that's what our goal is.
Mhm. I'm going to finish up. We're running over on time, but we've got a little bit left. I'm going to finish up, make sure we covered everybody in the chat. Sophie had the question of would we use a specific tip size for the eye area? That's going to come down to the viscosity of your serum. So that would be a choice based, just like any other. You would base that on how thick your serum is. Nikki had the comment, I think the only reason to use microneedling first is if you want a controlled injury on the skin. However, for collagen, why not just infuse it in serum form with the Juvasonic? Yes, yes, you're getting it. Yeah, exactly. Yes, there would be the benefit of the controlled injury, but it's still an injury. Why don't we just do it without one? That's my philosophy and how I've been building protocols. And I know you guys are too. Based on the conversations I'm having with you guys and have been for the last couple years, this is where we're going. We're wanting more of this, results without injury. So here we are. So with all that said, it's no secret. Juvasonic is now available at MedSpaDistributors.biz. It's on there live now.